Ms. Kichanova, you are I think, the leader of the Libertarian Party in Russia. Is this correct?
I'm not officially a leader. Our leader's name is Andrei Shalnev. He is 26 years old. He is a very close friend of mine, and recently he was elected in a city council of Pushkina. It's near Moscow. But I am a member of the Federal Committee, and my duties are all in the field of promoting the party, and especially abroad.
Okay. So you have an important position. You have made a speech about this, but in a nutshell, in 2 or 3 sentences, what is the situation of the libertarian movement in Russia?
We started 6 years ago from a small students group of young people who were reading economic books and decided to create a party. And we, unlike many other parties in Russia and generally in the world, I think we paid very much attention to education projects, to some academic events, and because of we organized a lot of conferences, forums, especially in outside Moscow in different regions where no other parties go and talk to people, and we could attract several hundreds people, and now we have in the list more than 500 people, which is enough according to Russian law to register a party, but unfortunately, we were refused. Well, the Ministry of Justice refused several times to register our party for some strange reasons, and we still keep on trying. And even without an official registration, we can participate in elections. We can promote our ideas. We can make some media appearances, and still there are people who are reluctant to join any party because they're too individualistic, which is normal and good for a libertarian. And we have a bunch of experts, of people of expertise, economists, lawyers, writers, politicians who support ideas of liberty but do not label themselves as libertarians, and they help us in our work.
Okay, but you also talked about oppression in Russia. You are not really free to do your political work. Is it really dangerous, or are there only, I would say, little discrimination, or is it really dangerous? Are you in real danger in Russia as a libertarian?
We are in real danger, not because we're libertarians, but because we are not members of any official party. Because we have, we really have a political monopoly of United Russia, Putin's party. Though we have 3 more parties in the parliament, they are all controlled by the Kremlin, and they don't have their own opinion. So if you're a member of some party that is really in the opposition to the government, then you are in danger, and the situation is toughening. And for example, a year ago it seemed impossible that people would be sent to prison for one person action with a sign, just with a sign, because it always was quite well, nobody cared when you protest alone, and now it happens. Now people are accused of treason or I don't know, espionage, yeah, and searched on a daily basis, arrested, attacked, blackmailed in the internet if you are a opposition activist. And I faced real danger once, maybe when I was campaigning, and I was attacked by some unknown thugs who tore away my signatures that I've collected and crashed my booth.
So what do you expect from the Western libertarians, or even from the Western governments? Do you expect help, or do you think that every country should stay alone and neutral in these issues? For example, the Ukraine conflict, I think you will stand with Ukraine in this issue, I think. Do you think the Western countries should intervene, or do you think, like Ron Paul said, it is better to stay neutral?
I don't believe in governments helping people. I believe in people helping people. So I don't think that governments can make real help, but it doesn't mean, and this is my key point, that Western libertarians should do nothing, because as people, not as Americans or Germans or English people or whoever, just as people, I think you should judge what Russian government does there, and maybe boycott Russian business, but in a private way, not because the government boycotts somebody. And it's very important for us to spread our message, to spread the facts, what's going on within Russia and in the border of Russia and Ukraine, and in Ukraine itself. And it will be very helpful if the world will listen to us, will give us the opportunity to speak aloud about this.
One point which is deeply dividing the libertarian movement, in my opinion, is the question, what is really behind this actual conflict, especially the Ukraine conflict? The ones say we would stay with the Western civilization, maybe. The other side says this is not only a try. They only try to protect this unipolar world. You mean what does mean? Unipolar. Only one center of power. This is now the USA. So maybe a multipolar world with a lot of centers of power would be a better solution. What do you think about this issue? I think this is the really conflict within the Western libertarian movement.
I think this is one of the main problems in the libertarian movement, that most of the libertarians hate their own government more than anybody else in the world, and thus they may be misled by by the perception of their own government as the biggest evil. And so I know that American libertarians think that American government is the biggest evil, but if you've listened to speakers from North Korea, from Venezuela, or from Russia, you may see that that's not true, that American government has a lot of things to criticize for, but it's not the most oppressive in the world. And well, I just think that people should stop thinking like people of this or that nation, but if we are libertarians, we should not recognize borders, and we should think as global citizens, and supporting this or that part of conflict should think not about the nationality of the people who participate in it, but about well, what really happened. And I think that the war that happens now there in Ukraine is not a war between Russia and Ukraine, but a war between people who want to live in a freer, in a more modern society, in a more Western-like society, and the people who want back to the Soviet Union. And the nationality doesn't play a role, because both in Russia and in Ukraine there are people who support this and that position.
I am the chairman of the German Libertarian Party, the Freedoms Party, Libertarians is it called. What could German libertarians do for libertarians in Russia? What would you hope or expect us to do?
Practically, first I mentioned to spreading our message. Then we could maybe organize some common event, yes, to exchange our experience and to see what we can do, what you do in Germany, what we do in Russia. And, I like this process of globalization of libertarian movement, because I know that in the beginning of March there'll be the first libertarian international convention in London, that will be attended by libertarian leaders of different parties from all over the world, and I hope that this process will continue and that we will exchange experience more.
Okay, in Germany the problem of the libertarians is another. Of course we are not we are not so oppressed, but we are isolated, because Germany is also a very statist country in the mind of the people. They think state is good and private, the private sector is bad. This is the common thinking in Germany. So our problem is that we are isolated, and our concept is to break through this isolation to provocation. For example, in Germany there are, in my hometown, Cologne, there are elections for governor of the town. I'm running for this office. The election is in September, and what is my central political plan is that Cologne should succeed from the rest of the Federal Republic to be a little own state, of course with very low taxes. So of course most people will say this guy is mad, but maybe we get attention, and also attention to explain that succession is a good idea. What do you think? Make this sense?
I guess yes, this makes sense, and I really noticed this difference between Russia and Western country, especially Germany, with its lot of welfare, good roads, and so on. Because in Russia it's quite easy to promote the minimizing of the government, because people don't see any help from it. Okay. And though we have all of this welfare on the paper, but people have to pay every day to get medical help or whatever. And in Germany and in other European countries, I know that if that people would say, well, I get help from the government, I see these roads, free education, free medical care, and all of this. And so, well, I think that if the party is good and is big enough, it should use different ways to approach the people, or maybe maybe there should be some movements besides the party. So, for example, the party is they like wearing suits and members of the party, and they are more moderate. And the politicians, but there are some youth movement, for example, of libertarians who make some performances or something like this. This is one way to succeed, to make change, but there may be more.
Yes, I also think different concepts should be tried. Last question. I said that provocation is a big issue in my opinion. So I want to provoke you too a little bit. I think you don't like Putin. What are you thinking about Alexander Dugin?
Well, he's an I don't know. Of course, he stands on the opposite position from mine, because he stands for the for so-called traditional values, for big empire of Russia. And what can I think of a person who wants to, whose views are a mix of communism, nationalism, orthodoxy, and all of this stuff. Well, he's a quoted a lot. He's a famous one. He's a famous professor. He has written a lot of books, and so he's a very convenient person for the government to invite him to some talk shows to express the position in a like more smart way. So there are people who are more radical, and so Dugin is like an academic person. Well, but so he was more famous in the 90s than he is now. Okay. So he used to have a movement behind himself, but now he's more or less alone.
Okay, I see. Ms. Kichanova, thank you very much for taking the time for this interview. Wish you all success.
Thank you.